Salt is required to make stomach acid. You don't have enough stomach acid, you get reflux, incorrectly called acid reflux. It's reflux. You get reflux when you don't have enough stomach acid to keep your stomach environment sterile. So yeast begin to grow in there, so you eat carbohydrates and sugar. They ferment that, produce gas. Heartburn, pressure, reflux. Because you have all these things growing in your stomach. Okay, when you get a pH too high, you get a pH above 4, all these things begin to grow. You have a pH under 1, your pepsin works to digest proteins, and you can absorb minerals, you can absorb B12. Your pH gets above 2, 2.5, you can't do that. Okay, so you're in trouble. I mean, you can take tons of iron supplementation, and if you don't have any stomach acid, you can't absorb iron. Now, here comes the most terrible thing that's happened to America because of this inappropriate advice. A clinic study came out in 2009. They said that as many as 30%, 30 people out of 100 in America now have celiac disease and have trouble absorbing nutrients, and as a result, there's people with 25 legitimately diagnosed diseases, which are all nutritional deficiency diseases. They're going to 18 different specialists for all this, and they're paying, tens of thousands of dollars a day to deal with this, and it's simply a gluten intolerance, and their intestines are damaged, they can't absorb nutrients. Well, when you can't digest wheat, barley, round, oat glutens, and you absorb these big chunks of what's called polypeptides, your body recognizes and it sets up an intolerance to those partially digested proteins. You get gluten intolerance, you get celiac disease, irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease, diverticulitis, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease. The doctor's approach to these diseases are cut your intestines out. I can't understand how you have a malabsorption problem, they want to cut your intestines out. That's really dumb. But at any rate, because they have you on a salt-restricted diet, you cannot make stomach acid, so your pepsin won't work, and you cannot digest proteins, including the protein of wheat, barley, round, oats. Now, again, there's a big research project come out in 2009 that said, it used to be people got celiac disease when they were kids. And if you recognize it, you can save them from all these terrible diseases because you can get them off of gluten and they'd be fine. Well, now people who could eat gluten with impunity, they were really big on eating wheat, barley, round, oats, no problems. And suddenly now at age 50 or 60, they'd become gluten intolerant. Well, that's because over the years on a salt-restricted diet, they couldn't digest wheat, barley, round, oat glutens down to their simplest amino acids. Big chunks called polypeptides are being absorbed. They set up an intolerance to it.